Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to do a bit of a follow-up video on the Garfield movie from this year. I did already do a review on this a while back, but obviously, if you guys can tell, I have a pretty large growing passion for Garfield. I've loved him ever since I was a kid, at least with the live-action films were how I was introduced to him. Say what you will about that and Bill Murray and everything. But I always have been nostalgia for those two. I think they're still, pretty good for what they are as well. But getting deeper into my Garfield obsession and fandom per se. I've watched, a large chunk of all the original specials. I've been watching Garfield and Friends, even with the 2000 CG films like Garfield Gets Real and Pet Force and Fun Fest and stuff like that. I played the PS2 game, Lasagna World Tour and everything, and I'm still going. But I was pretty lukewarm, to say the least, on the Garfield movie from this year a bit ago, which was strange because, I don't know, it just kind of fell flat for me. But I did rewatch it again for the sake of my ranking coming up, which I should hopefully do in the next week or two. Just trying to catch up on a few more movies. With a full-time job and everything, it can get kind of difficult. But I just wanted to reevaluate and reassess this one a bit, and I'm happy to say that my opinion on this has shifted a bit. I didn't dislike the movie outright. I think Chris Pratt and Garfield himself were done well and entertaining enough. There was a lot of the movie around it. One of my criticisms being it didn't feel like a Garfield movie. It kind of felt like a spec script, plucked and inserted with like Garfieldisms throughout. The whole heist thing didn't work for me initially, and I'm taking that back now. If you watch even Garfield and Friends, any of the specials, any of the old animated movies, you'll see he's gotten to kind of more over the top hijinks than heists before. So this isn't really that far out of the ballpark. I don't think the movie's perfect now, mind you. I don't think Samuel L. Jackson really worked as the voice of his dad. I think it was just kind of a random pairing there just for the sake of having a name. And then some of the humor, some of the other side characters are a little hit or miss sometimes. But I think they got Garfield so right. I mean, I'm a fan of Chris Pratt. I always like Chris Pratt. I think a lot of the internet stigma around him is a little misplaced. Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, even approved of his voice, in the part. You can say, Pratt didn't really change his voice enough for the role. Yeah, but that's how they wanted him. They literally wanted to hear Chris Pratt's voice in the character. So he did what he was told, and I still think his natural voice, works well enough for it. I'm not going to give my ranking like Garfield voice actors right now, but I think he is better than others who have attempted it. And what I even said the movie did so right from the get-go, even in my original review, was the flashbacks. Seeing Garfield as a kitten, him meeting John after he's abandoned in an alley and everything. It's a really sweet scene. And I think it's one of the best scenes of Garfield anything that's ever been produced. It's really nice, and you get the whole restaurant, frenzy and everything like that. So that I think was perfectly done. Odie is Odie. It's hard to screw up Odie. You have Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows, who I really like as an actor voicing Odie, though. You even have freaking Nicholas Hoult, who's been on a tear these last few years as John. And I enjoy how disheveled and 5 o'clock shadow John gets throughout the film. I have no knowledge of what's actually going on. I think Jinx, was her name, the fat white cat, orchestrating everything. I think it was actually a pretty fun villain. I liked her. The dad character, again, Samuel L. Jackson did not work as Chris Pratt's dad. But, the dynamic has really grown on me, and I think it hit home in terms of the message of it and everything, which is obvious, but it worked well enough for the story they're going for. And I like sort of having Garfield in this modern age with him taking advantage of John's credit card with mobile food delivery and stuff like that, which he very much do. That was a lot of fun. Even the action was quite a bit of fun. When you get to the farm, though, it does drag a bit, I'll admit. But it works okay enough. And it does not really hurt the film for me anymore. But yeah, I'd love to see it get a sequel. I know it's still at least made like six or so times its budget. It should be. We've seen movies go on less these days. So I would like to see this, kind of keep going. I think a sequel would be a lot of fun. And the Garfield movie is honestly now one of my favorite, definitely one of my favorite animated movies of the year, alongside Kung Fu Panda 4. But yeah, it's maybe even cracking my top 10, who knows? Because I absolutely love Garfield, and I think this is a great version of Garfield, honestly. So yeah, and the type of animation, the art style, it's pretty common these days. My wife always tells me how cheap it is to make or whatever. I guess, I don't know for sure. But it looks good, it's like eye-popping, it's vibrant. I can see why it would be used for kids' attention in mind, apparently. It's visually, fun to watch, and I think it looks good. Everything's smooth, the designs themselves are all on point. Animations, again, smooth, seamless, and yeah. Now, you guys thought about this one? Is there anyone else who actually liked this? Apparently there was, just not the vocal minority on the internet. But yeah, if I had to rate this now, I'm giving it I'm giving it an A-. I think it worked for what it was doing. So yeah, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, of course, Instagram. Later.